Good morning and happy Friday to everyone and to Austin. How are you doing this morning, Austin?
Not too bad, Andrew. How about yourself?
I think a little bit too much coffee and I started garbling my words. So too excited.
You thought it was tomorrow for a second there.
I thought it was almost tomorrow. I'm not living for the moment. But today we're spending an entire day talking about, and don't run away just yet, uh, securing data. We're talking about cyber attacks, cybersecurity, but we're going to keep it relevant as to why it matters to not only as a potential investment, but why it matters to just you and me. Why we want to send messages or have privacy or have some security in what we're sending. It's a big topic, but we're just going to race right through some of it very quickly, just to kind of let people know what's happening out there, just in general, and then some solutions that are out there, especially because people see, about WhatsApp and Parler or Telegram or Discord, all of these different messaging and chat platforms that have risen up, fallen down, risen up, fallen down. So give people a bit of a sense as to what's going on overall, why it's happening, and a, a very good solution that's out there right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's something for I think it's important for everyone to be considering this and thinking about it a little bit more critically because we have seen recent attacks into WhatsApp, which is supposedly secure and private messaging. We've seen recent data protection scandals regarding things like AWS, Amazon's web services. So, it's starting to get into a time where I think people need to be thinking about how secure is your data, how secure is what you're doing online. I know people are starting to consider VPNs a lot more, but this takes it a step further, and that's what I really like about it.
Yes, and so on top of that, I mean, like Microsoft Exchange was attacked, so that's specifically email. There's the level of hacking that's going on is rampant. It's incredible, and it is especially since COVID. It's ramped up. I think I read somewhere like 300%, which also kind of makes sense because people have more time. They're also online trading information at a huge rate. And a lot of people say, well, okay, if I'm just Andrew, why do I care? I mean, you go, well, there's identity theft, there's this, there's lots of different platforms. You do get lots of protection in lots of different ways. But for me, the one that just stands out right off the bat, and before I jump into specific solutions, sorry, there's like websites that post literally weekly attacks, like whether it's Shell, Kroger, there's one like on an aviation company, and these things they're not. It's not only just for corporate espionage. So it's not just that they're looking for the data of say financial statements, getting them early. So you can imagine if you were able to hack into an investment bank or a rival company and see what their statements are or revenue statements before they go into audit or after. This level of corporate espionage happens all the time, and that's a far step down compared to like giant government attacks where you're trying to infiltrate energy companies or whatnot. But even if we go down further, where it's not massive scale, is there's constant attacks and Trojan attacks that that people have seen in the past from email, where you have to open up something and then you get a virus or a bug, and they're Trojan horses that are implanted in your computer. There's a reason why they do it, because there's a lot of money to be made, and like a fortune. So this is going on all the time. Most people, it's not even news anymore because it's so rampant. And so where I'm going with this is the fact that there's a company called Globex Data, and for me, I sit on the fence sometimes. You don't want to live your life paranoid, where you're thinking, okay, well, does someone really want Andrew's data or Supercharged Stocks data? And so that led me to research. Okay, let's look at this from a different point of view. There's nothing that I would do or say that's that terribly exciting at this point. But from my research and from reading is that yes, they do have a file on Andrew O'Donnell. They'll cover it. They'll have it. They're not going to look at it, but it's stored, and everything stays there until such times as maybe they need to look at it or use it or open it up. And the problem with that is not just are they farming me for advertising revenue? Yes, in your email you opt to do that. You'll opt in to say, hey, I'm going to see the dentist. So it's going to open it up, let your calendar know. It starts sharing data. When you start sharing and looping in other services, it becomes a bit of an issue, and you're a little bit more open to attack. This matters because all of a sudden we're living in a world where having an opinion or a thought is now a crime, and very quickly becoming a crime. Where if you don't agree with one political party, there's some very dystopian ideas being floated around out there. And make no mistake, yes, they do keep your data. The WikiLeaks kind of explained that very well with Mr. Snowden there. They do keep all the data. But once again, they're not looking at you specifically. This isn't like I'm looking out the curtains worried that the police, that the Stasi are there. It's that there's no reason to look at Andrew until such times as there's reason to look at Andrew. If Andrew goes out and starts talking very political and starts standing out and saying things, then yes, make no mistake, that file is opened, and they're going to look at all of your data, and they're going to look at what you said, where you said it, and that, as much as all of your platforms, Google, Facebook, all of these FANG kind of that own all of this, that are the same company, basically, all owned by Alphabet, as much as they claim that they don't do this, every year there's a lawsuit in which they acknowledge that, yes, they've been doing this. And there's a reason why their top contracts go out to security companies. I don't mean like NSA, CIA, and other foreign governments. So
which is the fun one when they're giving it to foreign governments. That's when you're
that's
really
that's the most charming is that when you see that your information is being shared with other countries.
Yeah.
Now, once again, I can back all this up if anyone wants to challenge me and write me and say that this doesn't happen. Happy to have that conversation. Happy to send you as many articles and links and opinions and whatnot on all of that. I'm not saying anything shocking or edgy, but if there's anything you want to jump in just on that kind of basis of why is it important for me and you to maybe consider, listen, maybe my bank statements, if I'm sending them to my lawyer, or maybe if I'm sending a contract for real estate, or maybe if it's just a job contract, maybe I don't want that floating around out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. Like, for me, the thing that kind of attracted me to it was the whole idea of being able to safely and securely send documents and individual items, right? Obviously for me, having run my own company for years before I got involved with you, I'm sending data, I'm sending secure documents, I'm sending private information all the time through email, especially
Yes.
now in this new, COVID reality where we're spending a lot more time at home. A lot of us are working from home a lot more. It's important to have that protected, and I want to be sending data in a way that I know it's going to be secure and it's not going to be sitting there forever in some web file or web server that they can go back and access and say, oh well, here on January 12th, Austin sent these financial statements to his accountant. I want that to be between me and my accountant, really, at the end of the day. And so what GlobeX has with Secure is secure encrypted messaging and email, where you can actually set an expiry time on anything that you send. So if I want to send you a quick little document that says, hey Andrew, here's a monthly report for what I think we're forecasted to do for next month, I can send it over to you. I can set a timer on it. So, okay, from the time Andrew reads this, he's going to have 24 hours until this deletes, or I can set a date. I can say, Andrew's got this document until Friday, then it deletes. Neither of us have it in our server anymore. And the nice thing about GlobeX being based out of Switzerland, which we can dive a little bit deeper into that maybe when we speak to Elaine next week, about the kind of protection that being based out of Switzerland offers, but you're not involved with American big tech companies, which is a huge plus, in my opinion, to be away from Amazon, to be away from the Googles and Facebooks of stuff, and somewhere where your to give a quick idea of how protected data is in Switzerland. They just passed something back in December that makes it illegal for you to access a dead person's internet data for like 15 years after they pass away. So they're very, very hardcore over there, and that makes me feel very, very safe.
Great. Yes. Now, what I want to do is I want to share my screen here for a second because I'm going to play something from their site here, and it's just a quick 1-minute thing, and I think it sums it up very well. And this is why we're looking at GlobeX data, and this is their main product. They've got a couple products, but it's called Secure, which I think is great, and it's a nice way of spelling it. So. We won't do it again, no. All right. So apologies. I think I've I actually missed hitting the share sound for that, but that was off their website explaining their technology, Swiss hosted technology. And once again, I kind of look at it the mission impossible. Here's a message. It's going to delete whether you accept it in a day or two or 6 minutes or 6 years. You can send a message and it has a time limit on it and it's completely secure. Without getting into too much detail, because yes, I'd love to have the CEO and president Alain Guillaume on as soon as possible, is that we touch on, okay, so it's different than any of these other Telegram, WhatsApp, all these other Parler, because they're not on the Amazon, Facebook, all these same platforms. If you're on those platforms, they have access to you. So if you read the fine print, it's more than likely they do have access to the information and data and can. They're offering it to you for free, not because it's a charity. They're data mining you. And once again, for a lot of things that if you're sending, well, it's not a big deal. Like, who cares? Like, if you're just sending photos and sending stuff that you don't mind, yeah, okay, so what? But if you're sending anything important or anything that has anything that could be wrongthink or you're sharing an opinion that one day could be held offensive, and at this rate in time, that's happening very quickly. Very conservative, boring thoughts on most things are being challenged at a rapid rate, and we have very vocal voices out there calling for making lists of these people, and that's a bit shocking. I prefer now to say, listen, I would prefer anything that I send that is an opinion or anything else, as I would like to use this service because it has that security. If I'm just talking to a friend and we're just having a conversation, that's no problem. And I love that ability to be able to sign up very quickly and use this just without any fear because you're not on their platforms. And you had talked about a VPN before, and there were VPNs in the past where you could use and you could kind of skirt around this issue. But what they found is some of those were owned by foreign governments as well, and they were just collecting your data. So the problem here is that you have to do a lot of research if you're actually serious, and especially if this is around a free speech, say if it's a group that says, or they're doing an election in a country and they want to be able to do it in a safe and secure environment. Oftentimes people will create an app because they're literally just trying to honeypot the group they're looking to focus on. So this isn't this. I mean, it's not even wild theorizing. This is just general things that one would do. So you have to keep that in mind, and that's once again not being paranoid. It's just deciding how do you want to live your life. Would you like to be able to share your opinions and have your data secured, and you pay $10 a month, I think, for it, or do you mind that someone is data mining the heck out of you, even if you're not doing the most exciting things in the world? One day we're going to find out exactly what that dollar figure is amount that they've monetized off of you, because I assure you it's a big number. And people
Billions.
should have the right.
It's at least billions.
Yeah. No, and people should have the right to say, listen, that's that's me. You're data mining. That's my thoughts, my ideas, and it's not yours just because I'm on your platform. So this is the only one I've seen to date that is completely off. It's not. I mean, we're going to go into detail. We'll ask Alain, who's invested in this. I mean, he can't share exact names and everyone else, but there are public places you can look. It's not. There's no investment from FANG. There's no investment from foreign governments. There isn't some side account from the CIA that's filtering money into it. And that's important because you want to know then who owns this thing and who's making the call on whether or not this data can be shared or it's going to be mined. And that's what I like, is the fact that who owns this. It's off of all the platforms, and their model is we're charging you $10, but for that, and it sounds ridiculous that you have to be charged $10 to keep your own privacy, but for that, you're out of that system.
Yeah, exactly. The attractive thing to me about it too is when you listen to Alain talk, and we'll get the chance to speak with him a little bit more. When you listen to him talk about the way he structured the company, the way he set everything up, they're doing this in an extremely smart way. They've already got a good chunk of investment. They've already got cash in the bank. They don't have debt. They don't have any fees they've got to pay off or anything like that. They're planning to be not only profitable very soon, but they're planning to be extremely profitable very soon, which is what's exciting and makes it an attractive play, not just in the idea of, hey, let's keep our own data secure and protected, but also in the play of like, hey, here's a stock that we could get involved in that could have some serious growth over the next year, 2 years, as this stuff becomes much more prevalent in this kind of new digital age that we're rapidly moving into.
Yeah, and for me, it's rare that I get to say I'm interested in the stock. I think there's lots of upside because this can become a cash cow very quickly. The appeal to me is obvious. I think people that like to read a lot of news, that are critical and thinking and reasoned, will understand and see, listen, between corporate accounts that need to send secure documents, that's an obvious, but also just, there's enough documents in my just daily life that I prefer if I'm sending to a lawyer, if I'm sending to this or that is it worth $10? 100%. And in fact, I think we're going to start from Supercharged Stocks is that if you want to reach out to me and you're a subscriber, then you're going to have to reach out to me on that. And that way we can have a free-flowing conversation. We can speak freely. We don't have to worry about having our conversations recorded or anything else. So moving forward, I think we're going to adopt that. So it's rare that I get to see something where it's not only do I love the product and I'm going to use the product, that I would also I'm very much buying the stock. I mean, I like the stock because I see a huge potential. So this is a very interesting situation. And this comes from years and years and years of looking at watching the news. And that's part of my job is analyzing things at a macro level and not only per sector. It's just seeing what is going on out there and what has happened in the past when we've gone down certain paths, especially politically, that none of this is far-fetched. This is not, and not only is it not far-fetched, it's literally happening. And we've seen all of the banning of accounts, especially like conservatives, all of the shadow banning before that, these whole kind of hundreds of thousands of people removed from Twitter and Facebook and this and that. That's not stopping. In fact, that is only going to ramp up. And not only is it not stopping and ramping up, is they're keeping those names, and that's what's concerning. So maybe we'll live in a time again where we don't have to worry about that, but I don't think that's coming anytime sooner. The more we have privacy, not only from big government, but right now, big government is also big tech. It's FANG.
Yeah,
So,
they're going hand in hand together. And the important thing, because I'm sure there's people who are sitting there and thinking, how does this affect me? Why should this matter to me? If you don't think this affects you, if you don't think this should matter to you, it's just because it hasn't affected you yet.
Yes.
But and that's the important. It just hasn't affected you yet, but it's going to continue down this path. You need to be thinking about keeping yourself secure and protected when you're online, when you're using the internet, when you're sharing data. It's becoming much more prevalent, much more important, and it's the clear path forward that we're going down over the next, at least decade.
Yes, no, for sure. So, you know what? We could talk about this for hours because it's not only is it a philosophical, it's an ethical conversation, but it encompasses a number of different issues that I think are just hot topics that are very interesting. But on top of that, this is going to be a great investment. So I'm real excited. We're going to start implementing this. We'll do another walkthrough here next week, maybe after we have Alan on, and just how easy it is to set this up. I think there's a free week trial for people to give it a shot too. One of the key factors I know that is interesting is if I'm using it, I can use it to send to someone else as well that doesn't even use it. So I can send to a friend of mine who says, I don't want to use Secure. I can send them a message to choose to have it deleted right after one read. And they can't screenshot it. They can't keep it. It's gone. So there's lots of cool functions. Some of the friends I've talked to about it, they're blown away. They're like, this is really cool because they see it. They see why it matters. And $10 a month from me for some privacy, not expensive at all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, to reiterate the point you made earlier about us using that as a contacting platform going forward, my username on Secure is just Austin O'Donnell, all one word. I believe yours is just Andrew O'Donnell, all one word. That's the best way for people to get in touch with us going forward. If you want to talk about anything we're discussing today or any of our stock picks and takes that we discuss every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, then that's the best way to get in touch with us.
Absolutely. And thank you for reiterating that. And I'll have to start reminding people it's not Andrew at Supercharged Stocks anymore. I mean, I'll look at that. But if you really want to talk to me and you're a subscriber, then this is the way you're going to have to do it from now on. So It's going to take a little bit of getting used to from me, and you'll help me with that. But
I'll do my
otherwise, it's a beautiful Friday, and let's have a great weekend.
What's that saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks or something like that. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try.
Just yeah, do your best. As long as you bring good treats, that's usually what works for me.
That's the key to your heart, I think.
It really is.
All right,
Wonderful.
brilliant stuff.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Take care,
And
Andrew.
have a good day, everyone.
Yeah, bye bye.